Living with Sophie, and I am so very touched and excited to be speaking with our special guest today, Blossom Benedict. I want to tell you that last June I heard of something called access consciousness, and I could not understand a word of what they were saying, and it was not because English is my second language. But it didn't matter because what I felt, the energy, and just something was happening to me. And I felt so good. I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I have to find out more. So I did. I took classes and I found out more. And Access Consciousness has transformed my life, has transformed who I am being in the world. This is why I'm doing Blissful Living with Sophie today, because it has created new possibilities for me. So today I am really excited and touched to have Blossom Benedict on our video summit today. Blossom, welcome.
Thank you so much, Sophie. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is. So, would you please tell us about you and who you are and what you do and how you came to Access?
Absolutely. So my name is Blossom Benedict. I'm an Access Consciousness facilitator and have been for the last 5 years. So I share these tools all over the world. I also do something called Right Voice for You, which takes really specific area of people's lives with regards to speaking and singing and being seen and heard in the world, applies all of these really great tools and just makes it really easy to show up in a different way. So I do both. Right Voice for You has been in 14 different countries in the last 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been a bit of a whirlwind. My background, before I started Access, I was doing musical theater in New York and auditioning a lot, performing a lot, and I stumbled on Access tools for something else. I was actually trying to solve some health problems that were pretty full on and no one could figure out. So I had some other stuff going on. When I started using Access, it was transforming my body completely changed. I got off medications that doctors had said were totally impossible. Yeah, so like huge shifts. I had been really tortured just by being on the planet.
Oh my God. Trauma.
I'm sure I'm the only one, but what's my purpose? What does it all mean? So those were the kinds of things that led me to Access. And it was a huge surprise and joy to me when I discovered that it was actually applicable to this work that I had been doing prior, which was in the realm of speaking, of singing in the theater. And I went to a class, Gary taught a 3-day class on creativity. And I was there and I was like, why in the world did nobody give me these tools?
Yeah, right? I know. Tell me, Access Consciousness, those people that are watching us today and do not know much about Access,
yes.
What is it?
Yeah. So Access is a set of tools and questions and processes that can literally be applied to change any area of your life.
Cool.
So it's really different than a lot of other modalities people go to change because its target is to get you out of judgment and out of polarity. Yes. So polarity is anywhere you think something is good or bad or right or wrong. Anywhere you define or decide something, you actually stick yourself from all the other possibilities or all the other ways that it could show up in the world.
Right.
So we have so many decisions in every area of our life just based on the fact that we're on the planet. I was actually raised on a hippie commune.
Ooh, nice.
Story that's not often told. But, very grateful for it for a lot of reasons. And I also look at there were tons and tons of decisions and judgments and conclusions based on, say, that upbringing. And we all have our own version for us, right?
Yeah.
But there were very specific, what money means or what community means or what a family means and the right and wrong way of doing family, the right and wrong way of interacting with material things. So we all buy all this programming from whatever our upbringing is. Rich people aren't happy, community is the best way to live, like whatever these godzillion points of view are.
Wow.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know because I actually was probably the opposite of you, being raised in a Catholic, wealthy family, and probably with a lot of structures, and actually, I remember my grandmother telling me, don't let people notice you. Like, that was the thing, is like, you're a good girl, and by being a girl, you need to be quiet. And
Right.
so that was like the decision that I grew up with.
Yeah, and that's huge though, because if you buy somewhere in your life that a good girl should be quiet,
Yeah.
you then go about creating your entire life from that point of view.
Exactly. Or rebelling against it.
And going, no, I'm going to be noisy, which what people don't realize is rebelling against a point of view is as little choice as agreeing.
Exactly. I know.
Yeah, because you're not just choosing, okay, I'm going to choose something different for me. You're saying, and so many of us do this, somebody tells you what to do and we go, no, I'm going to do the opposite, which may have nothing to do with what we would like to do or create in the world.
Right.
Yeah. So the first tool, and it's one of my favorites and also fairly advanced in its simplicity, but it's the idea of interesting point of view.
Oh, yeah. My favorite too.
Yeah, which is what if everything you thought or said and everything anybody else thought or said was actually just an interesting point of view. Yeah.
Wow. That opens up so much. It's a real freedom.
And it sounds really fairly simple, but it applies to everything. And if you will use this for every point of view you have for 3 days, I guarantee your life will begin to shift. Have you done this, Sophie?
I have. And as I was telling the story of my grandmother, I kept hearing my voice saying, well, that's an interesting point of view.
Yeah, and that's exactly how you use it. You find a thought that goes through your head like, I should be quiet, and you go, that's an interesting point of view.
Right.
That was her point of view.
Yeah, or like, I'm a parent, and so my kids, there's a lot of things my kids have to do, like eat at the table, brush their teeth, go to bed at a certain time. Mm-hmm. But there are times where they'll definitely fight it. So for me to be able to say, well, that's an interesting point of view, either for me or for them, has been opening up a lot of freedom. And usually they do what feels right for them when I say that. When I say, well, that's an interesting point of view, then suddenly something shifts.
Yeah. It's a way to really quickly shift any situation and also get you out of fighting for the rightness of your point of view. Because if you think this is the only way to do it, and then you realize, that's actually an interesting point of view. It could look other ways. It could show up in a different way.
Right.
So it's letting go of needing to be right, and everything's just an interesting point of view.
Now, some people, I know because this happened with my husband when I started using this, is that some people do not like the fact that suddenly it becomes a point of view instead of a fact. So how do you react to that?
Right. Well, the first thing, thank you for this question, because the first thing I'd like to share with you is all of the tools I'm about to give you are for you.
Yes.
So they're not weapons to use against them. They are not tools to get people to do what you desire.
Oh.
They will create that also. But the freedom in allowance is actually you having no charge on it. So if you are willing to see everything as an interesting point of view, you won't fight your husband the same way. You'll create more space with your children. Yes. So it's not to say to people, well, that's an interesting point of view.
I know. Rookie mistake.
Yeah, and very common one, that people hear this and use it differently, but it's truly for you to get into allowance of what's going on around you.
Now, explain allowance, because I come from the law of attraction background, and we use allowing, and I know that in Access it's allowance. So can you explain allowance?
Yes. So, this reality, again, is sort of set up on agreeing, aligning and agreeing, or resisting and reacting.
Right.
Allowing is not the same as accepting. Accepting means you give me something and I have to take it in.
Yes. Regardless of
Yes.
yeah.
Allowing is just allowing it to be. It is what it is. So you don't have to agree or disagree. You don't have to make it right or wrong.
Right.
In Access, we don't use affirmations. And
Yeah.
the reason
I've noticed that.
Are you an affirmations girl?
I just
push your buttons.
right before Access, I had got trained in affirmations, and I was getting really good at it. And then, oh, okay, so you're saying that I'm stopping it? Like, it was a very interesting process for me.
Yeah. Well, let me just explain why.
Yes.
And if saying a statement is adding to somebody's life, really I encourage you to do whatever's working for you and whatever's creating more in your life. A lot of people work really hard on affirmations and then get frustrated that they're not working. And they go, what am I doing wrong? But it's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's that if you're saying to yourself over and over in the morning, I am beautiful, I am beautiful, I am beautiful, I am beautiful, what kind of person says that to themselves? What's their point of view, probably?
Self-centered?
Well, it's actually, if somebody who just wakes up and feels beautiful, would they really look in the mirror and say, I'm beautiful?
They would say it, yeah.
Somebody who's totally abundant and very wealthy, has lots of money, would not wake up in the morning and say, I am rich, I am rich, because they just be it.
Yeah, they're being it, yeah.
So usually the person that's saying over and over to themselves, I am beautiful, is the person that has the point of view that they're not.
They're not.
So
that makes so much sense. It's ridiculous. It's like I feel something, yeah, totally.
So every time you're saying that, you're reaffirming your actual point of view, which is that you're not.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm going to do this clearing and then I'll explain it and we'll go from there. But so everywhere you have been affirming what you believe is not true and therefore locking into existence this point of view that's a lie anyway, can we now destroy and create all that?
Yes, ma'am.
Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pod, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to explain that strange thing I said in one moment, but first I want to finish with this affirmation thing because it feels important to me. So in Access, we talk about you can't actually change anything until you're in allowance of it.
Yes.
So if you have the point of view that you're ugly, rather than saying I am beautiful all the time and locking that in place, if you get into, interesting point of view, I have this point of view, what would it take for me to change this?
Yes.
What else would I have to be, do, or acknowledge about myself for this to shift?
Yes.
Do you see how much space there is in those questions?
Oh my gosh. My heart is singing.
Yeah. So you're not pretending to be something you're not. You're just going, hey, where have I bought this as true? Is this a truth or a lie?
Does this really standards? Yeah.
Yeah. Does this really contribute to my life to say this mean thing to myself?
Yeah.
And the bigger question is this even mine?
That is a really other cool tool. Can you tell that?
Yeah. Well, we talk about in Access that most people are way more psychic than they've ever been willing to acknowledge.
Thank God.
So we're walking around and we're literally picking up other people's thoughts and feelings and emotions all the time. Mm-hmm. Now, everybody is able to read energy. If somebody walks into a room and somebody's really angry, everybody knows it. Yeah. So I'm not talking about the kind of psychic like crystal balls and healers and telling the future. I'm talking about our ability to read body language, our ability to pick up on energy. And so there's these thoughts floating around all the time, like right now in the economy. Everywhere is, I don't have enough money.
Yes.
Right?
Oh my gosh, I've had to send that one back so many times in the last week.
Yeah. So people are out there thinking, I don't have enough money. We don't ask, we assume if something's in our head, it's our thought. So the gift of this tool is actually beginning to go, is this my thought? Is this mine? Who does this belong to?
Yeah.
You begin to acknowledge that you are picking up thoughts, feelings, and emotions from everywhere. So you think, I'm not pretty enough, and then you go, who does that belong to?
I know.
Oh my gosh, that was my mother's point of view about her or about me.
Yeah.
And then we return it to sender.
Yes.
So you can literally do this for every thought in your head. So you can go, I'm always late. Who does that belong to? Return it to sender.
Wow.
Yeah.
That just shifted something. Okay.
Yeah. How's it get better than that? You can do it for actual sensations in your body. This is the tool that changed my life. I had a stomach condition that no doctor could diagnose. And who does this belong to is the question that I used to change it. And it really, all these things going on physically in my body weren't even mine.
Yeah, I know. I mean, as I get older, I suddenly saw some of my features becoming more like my mother's.
Uh-huh.
And it was like, so when I learned that, I'm like, who does this belong to? No.
Yeah. But so here's the thing is most people, when they have that realization, they go, I don't want to turn into my mother, or I'm never going to be my mother, or I'm never going to look like my mother. So here's the catch, is that if you align and agree, or you resist and react to a point of view, you're locking it in place.
Yes.
The same way. So truly, every time we go, I'm never going to be like this, or I don't want this, we're also creating it because we're giving it energy.
Energy, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Totally. It totally makes sense. I mean, my kids are a perfect example of that. If I tell them to do something, they'll push. And if I say, fine, don't do it, then they'll do it.
Right.
So I know exactly what
and if I say, don't think of an apple right now. Right?
That's all I can think about.
Exactly. So, sorry, I'm getting a little more battery power here.
Okay.
So, so anything that you are feeding energy to on the positive or the negative side, we're actually creating more of. So that's one of the primary targets in Access, is to get into interesting point of view.
Right.
That you're not reacting to looking like your mother, and you're not agreeing to it. You're in allowance of it.
Got it.
And from there you go, hey, I would create looking like my mom for what reason? I'm actually me. What if I choose to create a body the way I desired to?
Wow. Yeah, totally.
So that's the energy when you say, what is allowance? That's the energy of allowance. It's not, I refuse to look like my mom. It's just, I have infinite choice. I'm an infinite being. I'm willing to look like her, and I'm choosing to create me.
Me. Yeah, exactly. Wow.
Yeah.
And I know I also have a lot of a big focus right now on loving my body as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And this feels very much in alignment with it, where it's also saying there's nothing wrong with the way I am. It's the way I am, and now that leaves space for something else to show up.
Exactly. And the beautiful thing is, when you're totally in that allowance of your body and grateful for it as it is, then you can start asking questions.
Yes.
Because it
that makes sense.
Stay the same forever. Then you can go, hey, what would you like to look like? Or are you, is there an awareness you're giving me with this skin rash? And if so, what is that? And how do we change it? Or, but it's from that space of kindness and gratitude for you. And things change magically fast from that space.
Yeah.
So it's not like resigning to have your life forever be how it is. It's having gratitude and allowance for you where you are now. And then the questions are the magic in Access.
Oh my gosh, the questions. That was so new for me. I mean, to ask questions all the time. You know, how does it get any better than this? And what else is possible? And all of these amazing questions. And as you know, I'm French, so I actually found another French facilitator who knows how to send those questions in French, and it was like, whoa, a whole other possibility.
Yeah.
So tell us about the questions. What does asking a question do?
Yeah, well, the thing is, we're so trained to look for the answer.
I know.
And we're even trained to ask, if we ask a question, it's so that we can get an answer.
Mm-hmm.
So what if the question was the magic? And the energy of the question. So we ask questions in Access not to get answers, to get awareness and to get more questions.
Really?
So it doesn't actually make sense in the beginning. But so we ask questions like, what else is possible? Or what would it take for this to show up in my life? Now, what else is possible is actually a question of the universe to show you other possibilities. So if you were looking for an answer, you'd say, you're stuck in traffic and you're going to be late. And then you go, okay, well, what else is possible? You might get the awareness of, oh, there's that other road over here.
Right.
So you have that awareness, and then you keep asking what else is possible. And it might not even be that other road. Something else might show up, and you keep asking what else is possible.
Right.
So it's not about the conclusion of how do I fix this. It's going, what would it take for this to... The mantra of Access is all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory.
Yes.
So you're saying, what would it take for this to be more full of ease and joy and glory than ever imagined possible?
Mm-hmm.
And anything that doesn't allow that, you can destroy and uncreate it all, so you can have that awareness.
Right. So awareness. Let's talk about awareness.
Mm-hmm.
There's awareness, which I think is the same as knowing. Is that right?
Yeah. Very similar.
Very similar. But then there's point of views. So how do you know when something is a point of view versus an awareness?
Yep. That is a great question. So first of all, the truth will make you feel lighter. So here's a great tool, and I use this 1,000 times a day.
Yes.
And just so you know, Access is full of tools, and if you take one tiny one of these and use it, you'll get there's a lot to absorb in the beginning.
Yes.
We're going over a lot of...
I know. 6 months later, I'm still absorbing.
6 years later, I'm still going, what question can I ask here? Or what point of view do I have that's locking this up?
Yeah.
And
light and heavy.
Light and heavy. So if something feels light,
right,
it is true for you. Now, when we say light, we're talking about, something that might make you smile, or a lightness of being. Your posture might improve, or it just may feel easy to accomplish.
Uh-huh.
Something that makes you feel heavy might stick your attention or make you furrow your brow, or you just can't stop thinking about it, or your body contracts a little bit. So light and heavy is going to be perceived differently by different people. But typically there's one choice that you go, oh, that.
Yeah.
So we say if something feels light for you, it's true for you. And if something feels heavy for you, it's a lie. So you can use this if you're, say, reading a book, or, you can use this in 100 different ways. But when you're talking about if something's an awareness or a point of view, does it feel light or does it feel heavy?
Oh, I see.
An awareness, you won't be fighting for the rightness of it. It just is. It's like it's a possibility.
Got it.
A point of view has a charge to it because you fight for the rightness of it or the wrongness of it.
Got it.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we love fighting, huh?
We love fighting. Exactly. Fighting ourselves, fighting. So, and you can also, the beauty is, again, you can ask a question like, okay, so is this an awareness or a point of view?
Huh, interesting.
What feels lighter?
Wow.
The real beauty, and you mentioned to me that you have a lot of coaches that listen to you.
Yes.
The joy and the beauty of facilitating with Access tools is that you don't actually have to have an answer for anything.
Huh. You just
So
have to
what
have a question.
if with your clients you never had to fix or solve or answer anything ever again?
That sure opens up a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what if your job, my job as a facilitator is to empower people to know what they know?
That is why I love Access.
Yeah.
That is why, because I felt so empowered when I was given those tools. It was me. It was my answer. Nobody else was giving it to me. I'm so grateful for that. So grateful.
And at every moment, when I'm working with somebody, I go, well, what question can we ask here? Or what point of view is sticking you? Or what? But it's always to the person who comes up with the awareness. We'll look through, is that heavier light? Is that this or this? Run processes, ask questions. But it always comes back to, you are the only one who has been powerful enough to stick you and lock down and limit your life, and you're truly the only one that can give yourself the awareness that's going to set you free.
Oh, it's a lot of responsibility, but it feels good too, because I love the idea not to have to rely on anybody or anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
Saying, here's a bunch of questions, here's a bunch of tools, here's a bunch of processes, and if you continue to use them, you can create whatever it is you're looking for.
So let's talk about, just for a minute, so the world has that story that it is a recession, and a lot of people have the thought, I don't have enough money.
Yeah.
And so, okay, I'm an allowance of that.
Mm-hmm.
How do I create, because I have to work with the world. That's something Access actually taught me. We're receiving money from other people. So,
right. You can't just sit in your house and say all of life comes to with ease, enjoying it.
Exactly. But so how do you create possibilities for yourself, and you choose something different, and yet work with a world that has a thought of, I don't have enough money, or there's not enough resources for everybody around? Yeah. How do you combine the two? It feels to me that if I don't want to change somebody else because I'm in allowance, then how can I choose something different?
Right. So, couple things. First, so interesting point of view, I have this point of view, or return it to sender, just recognizing it's not your point of view.
Got it.
So is it a truth or is it a lie that you can't create money right now?
It's a lie.
Okay. Yeah. So even just recognizing that. So everywhere you've bought into that and made it true and real, and you're actually feeding the economic crisis by buying into it, would you now destroy and create all that?
Yes, ma'am.
Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, online, shorts, boys, and beyonds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, this clearing statement, we'll have to address it.
Yes, we do have to get to it.
Yes. So first, but what you want to do is destroy and uncreate all the lies that you've bought and everywhere you're contributing to this.
Got it.
And then from there, I'd go into asking questions. There is a ton of opportunity and possibility to create and generate money right now. That feels really true to me. Fortunes are always made in recessions, and it's even an interesting point of view. Like, something is occurring in the financial system. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this in public. It kind of feels exciting to me.
I agree. Change is exciting to me too. So yeah.
So it has not been. There are many, many people that I know, and I don't want to just say it's all made up, because I know a lot of people have lost their jobs. Yes. and things have changed for them.
Yes.
And a lot of the people that I work with and I know have had incredible abundance in the last couple of years.
Yes.
I've been continuing to change my life and choose more and destroy and create my points of view and ask more questions and look for possibilities. And my financial situation has exponentialized in the last couple of years.
Awesome.
And I don't say that in a bragging sort of way.
No.
I say it in there really are infinite possibilities if you're willing to not buy into what you think has to be true.
Right. Because there's a lot that we don't know.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So who can I talk to here? You know, what phone call can I make today that would add to my finances? What can I add to my life that would be fun for me and would make me money? Definitely what have I decided I can't have or can't be or can't do or can't generate? Everything that is times a godzillion. Can we destroy and create it all?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, online, shorts, boys, and yawns.
So let's go with the clearing statement.
Okay. The clearing statement, it is designed to bring up the energy of whatever limitation or decision you have and to just change it, to clear it, to obliterate it, to throw it out, to flush it down the toilet, whatever that is. So let's take a point of view like it's hard to make money.
Yeah.
That we were just talking about.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay. So right and wrong. Right and wrong means everything you've made right or wrong about that point of view or good or bad about it. Okay. So I would say it's right that it's hard to make money because my mom believed that. It's right because that's what I was taught on the commune. It's wrong because I should be able to create anything I want, so it shouldn't be hard for me to make money. It's good that it's hard to make money because that proves I'm like everybody else. It's bad that it's hard to make money because I want my life to be easy, but I don't really want my life to be easy because, I mean, we just are like stuck.
Wow. You just
so many points of view.
Yeah.
So if we were willing to give up everything we decided, because the decision is sort of arbitrary anyway, everything you decided makes it right or wrong or good or bad. It just is. It's not right or wrong or good or bad. So we're willing to give up all of those points of view.
Okay.
POD and POC stands for the point of creation and the point of destruction. So what this is saying is there's a moment in time where I decided it's hard to make money. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe I watched my mom creating this thing and I said, oh, look, it's hard to make money. Right. So I want to go back in time, literally to the moment before I decided that, and look at all the thoughts and decisions and conclusions I had at that point and uncreate that decision from there. So rather than looking at my mom and going, it's hard to make money, I could have looked at her and gone, interesting point of view.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're destroying it and creating it from before we made that decision, and then all of the crap I've created in my life since then based on believing it's hard to make money. It sort of falls away like pulling the bottom card out of a house of cards or knocking down a bunch of dominoes, because all these beliefs you've had since then have no weight to them either, and they actually, there's the possibility for them to leave with this as well.
Nice.
So that's right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 9. I can send a recording. There's 9 different layers, and it's all punishments, the rewards. That it's again decisions you have around this thing.
Right.
Shorts is short for we've decided that if you peel the onion, you'll get to the center, the core issue. That's boys.
Yeah.
I'm losing myself. Shorts is short speak, having to do with these layers, also punishments, rewards, things like that. Boys has to do with peeling an onion, and it really most issues that we create in our life have all of these, we call them nucleated spheres, but they're like different decisions, issues in different lifetimes, different. So if we pop part of like this bubble pipe, it'll go away here and the issue will resurface here. So you can't peel the onion to get rid of it. So I mean, I sort of just just think of this
Wow,
as topping the whole thing.
That's awesome.
And then beyonds refers to this feeling or sensation that I know everyone who's listening has experienced, and that is when something happens that stops you, like a so that's when you're expecting your $29.99 phone bill and you've been talking a little more than usual and it comes in the mail and it's $987 and you open it and you go that's when you go outside and you realize that your son's car is missing in the middle of the night. You might go, So a beyond, the thing with the beyond is you can't make a choice in that moment or even ask a question. You're like frozen in time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that just happened to me recently, so I know exactly what that is like.
Yeah. Cool. So what we're asking for is to clear all of that stuff.
Wow.
Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pot, online shorts, boys and beyonds, basically is like take all the crap you have created around this one idea, and are you willing to just let it fade out of existence?
Oh yeah.
So it sounds like a very strange phrase, and I always say to people, we're not asking that you believe it works. It seems that when you ask a question and then you use this phrase, it takes away the charge, the stickiness on it. So it is a bit of a magic wand, and I suggest that you just play with it to see if it creates that lightness of being for you. And if it does, it's one of the fastest things I know of that just sort of takes all the energy and decisions around whatever topic and gives you space from there.
So let's talk, because we are gonna run out of time otherwise. So let's talk about the voice.
I know we said, we're gonna do a call about being seen and heard in the world, but
well, because I grew up with a dad who had a point of view that I couldn't sing. And so instead of allowing it, I resisted it my whole life.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time. And what that created for me, and with Access, my voice has changed tremendously. But what that created was that I started speaking with a very high-pitched voice, which for some people means that they couldn't hear me. So, so with Access, I learned to relax, and you actually helped me once because I was like, "Help, Blossom!" So how do we use these tools to be heard and seen and recognized?
Absolutely, and I love working in this area of life, particularly because so many people have bought these arbitrary points of view about who they are.
Oh, yeah.
And does that work for you?
Mm-mm.
I do these voice classes all over the world, and inevitably there's always a third of the class there was told that they have a bad voice or they can't sing.
Right.
And they then bought this point of view.
Yeah.
And they made it true or real or valuable and have created their whole willingness to speak or sing or be heard in the world based on what somebody else told them.
Yeah.
So is it a truth or a lie to begin with is the thing. A good voice, a bad voice is one of the simplest forms of judgment. Right? So it was actually somebody's point of view to begin with. So everywhere you've aligned and agreed with or resisted or reacted to any adjective that was used to describe your voice, beautiful, ugly, shrill, sharp, high-pitched, low-pitched, gravelly, unattractive, would you now destroy and create all that?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pod, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. There's a lot of charge on that for people.
Yeah, and I think it's what came up was we do use our voice so much to communicate. And I know that a lot of people communicate when writing, and that's something else. But we speak every day. We speak to our families. We speak to the people that we work with.
Yeah.
And I know that I've had that experience when after speaking to somebody, it felt like there was somebody strangling me.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
So what are you unwilling or unable to say? It's a question when people have that they can't speak this thing. That's a question we often go to. And or what are you not allowed to say?
Yeah.
We do so much censoring based on the family we were brought up in, or what's appropriate, what's inappropriate. So this is, again, every decision we're looking to get at eventually. This is why, Access, there's a whole series of classes available, because what if you were able to look at every fixed point of view and give yourself freedom around it? So all the decisions and judgments and conclusions and computations you have about what you can and can't say and what you should or shouldn't say in the world, we destroy and create all those.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pod, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Yeah.
Hey.
I know. And this is also part of why I love this work. It's so personal for people. And it's a space where when it changes, it creates so much freedom.
Yes.
I had a woman who did a voice class and came back shortly after saying that her sales had just doubled for her company. And it was because she finally wasn't censoring everything she said. Willing to be seen, willing to be her, willing to offer what she had to offer. And it directly led to doubling her sales. And we went, well, who would have thunk a point of view you have about your voice could be locking that up?
And I think what was coming up for me, and I'm not going to apologize, I am getting emotional, is that through Blissful Living with Sophie, I don't want the point of view that smiling and laughing is the only way to be. And I welcome anybody who has upsets and anger to just be with it and allow it. And this is what's, I feel like there's nothing wrong with negative emotions. They're signs, they're indications, but they're not to be associated with. And I feel that it is not. This video summit is very joyful and very yummy and delicious, which can include the tears, which can include the pains and the acknowledgement of where we have not completely expressed ourselves. So I'm very grateful for this moment and just to be able to say that.
Yeah, thank you so much. And often tears are actually just your body changing something too. And even you saying negative emotions means that there's good emotions and bad emotions.
Yeah, that is something else that I started becoming aware of, is when we declare something negative or positive. I agree. It just is. It's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And any judgment, this is what I really like people to hear, is that any judgment locks you up. So when I was a girl, my family was always telling me what a perfect and beautiful voice I had. And that actually creates as much limitation, because I was then not willing to sing unless I'd practiced and had a piano and knew all the words, and my hair looked good, and, because I had been told that I was some little songbird star. So to match that judgment, I set up this platform of perfection.
Wow.
So how many of you have taken things that people thought were positive or were compliments about you and used that against yourself to lock up and limit your life and your living and your choices? So everything that is, everywhere you've aligned and agreed with positive judgments and resisted or reacted to negative judgments, can you now destroy and create all of that in your body and your being, and give yourself space to be back in interesting point of view?
Yes.
Everything that is times a godzillion, destroyed and create it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pod, all nine shorts, boys and beyond.
Yeah, that's good. Wow.
So I know I mentioned it, but who does this belong to is one of the biggest tools that if you're going to be in front of people, if you're going to be speaking to audiences like this with a video or live audiences, you got to start asking this question.
Yeah. Yeah.
The biggest fear supposedly in the world is of public speaking.
That's what I heard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's actually I when I realized that, I did the opposite. I went and got even more more public.
How's it better than that?
Right, right.
Well,
That was awesome.
the thing is, most people, once you acknowledge how psychic you are and how prevalent this fear is all over the world, if you're willing to begin asking, who does this belong to? Or is this mine? It lightens up. Is it possible that so much of your stage fright and your points of view about being public are not yours? And are things that you have bought from other people, from your family, from other times, dimensions, realities, whatever it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So everywhere you've been silencing yourself or not speaking out based on thoughts, feelings, and emotions you're picking up elsewhere, can we destroy and create all that?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pod, all nine shorts, boys and yawns.
Right. So I'm a little bit stunned, and I have a difficult time now going back into the interview mode, but
It's okay.
But
So
what else is possible?
Sophie, everything an interview means to you, will you destroy and create it all?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, wrong, good and bad, puck and pod, all nine shorts, boys beyond. So what if we just asked, what energy, space, and consciousness can we be that would contribute to these listeners in the greatest way possible?
Ooh, yummy, yummy.
Yeah, and anything that doesn't allow that, we'll just destroy and create all that. Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pod, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. One thing on the public speaking sector is we are taught so much that to give a speech, you're supposed to prepare. As an interviewer, you're supposed to have a list of questions. You're supposed to know where you're going. You're supposed to, say what you're going to say it, then say what you said. All these formulas. So what if those formulas were actually cutting off what you knew?
Oh, goodness. Yes.
So it can be quite uncomfortable to say, I'm going to do a 2-hour talk and I have no idea what I'm going to say. And if you're willing to tap into the audience, and we'll talk about that, make sure I mention the energy flows, but if you're willing to tap into the audience and see what they require, pull energy from the audience, and then ask questions, both out loud and of yourself, you will know.
That's awesome.
And it's beginning to trust you and follow your knowing. You will astonish yourself. I've never had anyone stand on my stage who told me that they couldn't do it, then prove themselves right.
How does it get any better than that? So, and I want to tell people, talk about energy, because somebody who goes to an interview or a pitch session or who's doing sales, that there's something there for them to use. Yes.
And I just looked at the clock and I was like, that's that energy I'm perceiving. It's like there are 10 million things to share in many more minutes. So, but I will give you the energy flows. And then I also will share that we're going to talk about something in a minute. There's tons more tools and examples and possibilities. And so we don't have to get to all of this in the next 4 minutes. But I do want to make people aware of the energy flows, because this is one of my favorite things that people can add that's pretty simple.
Yes.
So what you're going to do when you are in front of an audience or about to go for an interview, or really you can do this having anything to do with other people.
Okay.
But you're going to ask to pull energy from them.
Okay.
So right now, everyone out there, actually, here, we'll do it this way. Sophie and I are going to pull energy from everybody who's listening right now. And it's not like it's nothing like we do. We ask for it. And you should feel a little, when you pull energy from your audience, they feel a little more inclined to lean into you. They feel connected to you. So you pull energy from your audience, and then you're going to let a little trickle of energy go back to them. And this creates just a connection between you and the audience. So from this space, when you ask, what does my audience require? You get information because you're connected to them.
Of course.
Yes. And what we normally do on stage, and what many people are taught, is to push energy at the audience. Buy this product now, or come see my show, or whatever that energy is. And that makes people...
Yeah.
It's not an invitation.
Yeah.
So if you'd be willing to begin pulling energy from your audience rather than pushing, you'll be astonished what changes. And you don't have to be in the room with them. You can do this for an interview. If you're going to go on an interview, just start pulling energy from everybody who will be listening or you will be talking to, and then connect to them. And then when you walk in the door, there's a familiarity. They're already connected to you. So they feel like, do I know you?
Yeah.
Or have we met somewhere? There's that connection. It's not the proving energy of pushing. You're now receiving.
Yeah. Somebody, when they compare this to flirting, it feels that, I like that. It's also very playful.
It is playful, and you're inviting people to your party, to your reality.
I really like that. And it's also non-manipulative because people are basically sharing who they are. It is not about, there's nothing in Access, and maybe we should just mention this briefly, that manipulates energy. It is really about asking questions and inviting truth to come in instead of transforming something so that it's what we want. There's nothing of that. So I really like that.
Well, you can't take away anything that is true for somebody either. So even when we're destroying it and creating points of view or whatever we're doing, if something's true for you and is the essence of you, I can't destroy it and create it. We can't pock and pot it.
Yeah.
So we're getting to, and you always have a choice about what you're going to let go of or what's serving you. You might say, hey, it makes me feel really connected to believe it's hard to make money. It makes me feel connected to my family, and we share that point of view, and I'm actually going to keep it. And then I go, cool.
Yeah.
Great for you to have that clarity. Great for you to have that awareness. If you ever want to change it in the future, it's possible.
Cool.
So.
Very cool. Okay.
Yes.
Anything else that you can share about sharing their voice, finding their voice, using Access tools to be truly themselves?
Oh my goodness, there's a million things. Yeah. But what I would encourage people to ask yourself, what does your voice mean to you?
Okay.
And all of those words you come up with, you want to destroy and create them all.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
What do you mean to your voice? Everything that is. See? So even if you don't get words, if everyone noticed, the first question I asked, Sophie had a certain energy. She didn't say anything, but she was like, oh, wow. And then the second one, it made her laugh. It's a totally different, oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
destroy and uncreate all that energy. You don't want to have a relationship. You want to just be with each other, you and your voice. What does being seen mean to you?
Oh, yeah.
Everything that is, destroy and uncreate it all. What does being heard mean to you? Everything that is, and you're going to come up with, and I'd run layers of these until there's no real charge. Because first you're going to say being seen means, I get to be the center of attention. I get what I want. And then you're going to do it later. And being seen is going to mean somebody's going to hurt me. They'll take away my family. Like just weird points of view will come out.
Right.
And you destroy and create all that. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. All the decisions and judgments and conclusions and computations I have that this is what having a voice has to be like. Destroy and create it all. So there's lots of layers of clearings like that you want to begin to do, undo. to begin to see what being you with no apology in the world might even be like.
Wow.
The reason this matters to me is because you showing up as you in the world with no apologies, with no judgments of you, allows other people to go, you can do that? Like, you're really allowed to do that in this lifetime, to enjoy being you, to not apologize for your voice, to have fun being on the planet.
Yeah.
And it allows other people to choose the same. And this is where we get to the phrase, be you and change the world.
Be you and change the world. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Because it's true that you having no judgment and enjoy being you is the greatest gift you can give the world.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to wrap up, but
Yes.
very quickly, you have put together an amazing package for
Yes.
people that would like to inquire more. And what I love about that package is that it breaks it down per topics.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
Yes. So I'll start with if we were just going to offer a voice package, it would give you what you've been asking for, which is in my voice package, I did an hour interview sharing even more tools, going into more depth.
Right.
And then I created a very long clearing loop going over, I think there's like 100 different clearings on this loop of questions you can ask, energies you can change for being seen and heard in the world. So that was my little, how do I share my voice stuff and give you the tools.
Right.
But then what I did was I interviewed 13 people around the world who have really, really transformed their lives and are working with clients and coaches in this very specific area.
Got it. Wow.
So we have Simone Milicis is the worldwide coordinator for Access. She does a whole interview and gives you all her favorite tools and clearings to use Access to change business.
Wow.
Kathy Sawyers was a couple hundred thousand dollars in debt and a single mom, and she's a multimillionaire, and she's so joyful around money now. So she goes, how did I do it? I asked these questions. I beat this energy. I made this demand. They're all Access tools. Danielle Carter uses the same tools, the same questions. She changed her body. She went from a 16 to a 6 in a couple of months with no diet, which is like, what a gift to change your body from allowance, from caring, from kindness. Liam Phillips was basically on his deathbed when he discovered these questions.
Wow.
And he knew he had to change his body in a different way. So more body tools. We have Glenna Rice, who's talking about parenting. She's a single mom with 3 amazing humanoids. Like, what if you didn't have to decide about bedtime and decide about your kid's diet? What if you could teach them to know what they know and empower them to tap into their knowing? Her kids are extraordinary with knowing what their bodies require, and it makes her life so easy. So she's done an awesome interview on this. The list goes on and on. Dr. Dane here is a miracle worker with energy. He's gifted or contributed to this package with an ESC session, which is it's like an hour meditation that reconnects you to the earth, to being you, and just gives so much more possibility. So that alone, he normally sells for $150 a session. Really, truly, we go, can we create this package and sell this at the price point we're going to? And we're like, yes, because A, there's no shortage of information.
Yeah.
And B, if we can contribute to people knowing they can change these areas of their lives, everyone I talked to was like, yes, sign me up. How can I contribute? Marilyn Bradford has given awesome tools for recovery. So anything addiction related, changing it not from the wrongness of you'll always be an addict, truly from how did this addiction contribute to my life and what would I have to acknowledge to change it?
Wow. Oh, I'm so excited oh my gosh, this feels so light.
Jill McCormick is talking about kids with ADD, ADHD, autism, a really different point of view of how to interact with labels and systems. Do you feel they're all like, how do you take a topic that's like this and infuse it with possibility, space, lightness? Simone Padur is a teacher. She was teaching in the Middle East and brought questions and choice and possibility into her classrooms and watched these kids just transform. So she's added a segment on, hey, if you're going into the classroom, this is what's possible.
Wow.
So again, we couldn't even come up with how much this package should be worth. We said, we added what people would sell it on their own websites for, and we said at least $1,500. We don't even know.
Right.
And everyone was so willing to contribute. We're selling it today for $97. I know, and it really is just take these tools. If any part of this interview has felt light to you, then take these tools and play with them. And these people will show you how they've played with them in their lives in these different areas. Okay, if you want to play with money, ask these godzillion questions. If you want to play with enjoying your body, ask these godzillion questions.
Very cool. Woo!
That was my woo! I get so excited talking
I know. It's I can't wait to dig into it. So thank you so much.
You are welcome. Thank you for what you're doing and for the voice you're being in the world as a conduit to all these people. It's truly a gift. I'm very grateful for you, Sophie.
Yeah, thank you, Blossom. I know I'll be speaking with you very soon, and I can't wait to see what grand adventures this day is going to bring us.
Yes. Oh, Sophie, can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
For anyone not buying the package, if you want more of the voice tools we talked about that we didn't have time to get to, if you go to blossombenedict.com and just sign up, I actually have a video that I'll gift you that shows you a way of walking in the world, shows you these tools being used with an audience. So that's just a free gift to you. But blossombenedict.com, I'll send you a really great video, just because there's always more.
I love it.
I
love it. Thank you, Blossom.
Sophie.
Thank you for the contribution that you be in the world.
Oh,
you already changed mine, and I know I can feel the audience like just giggling with the goodness. So thank you so very much for your time and beauty and everything that you be.
It is always a pleasure. What else is possible?
What else is possible? Woohoo!
Thanks, Sophie.
Bye.